How concerns Nigeria may be exporting at a loss if oil goes below $30 per barrel. Now, oil and gas expert Balazaka is with me in the studio. It's nice to have you this morning.
Thank you.
Well, how's the Hamatan? How are you feeling with the Hamatan?
It's coming up. It's good for Lagos. We really need it because Lagos is highly congested.
Yeah.
In the northern parts of the country, they are using blankets and the rest because they have enough space, free air.
Exactly.
But in Lagos, we are so congested,
that
we
with
need
all the
Hamatan
industries and so on.
We need the Hamatan to come and clear some of the heat.
And it's clearing, actually.
Yes.
All right. Now, welcome to the program. Let's go to the issues, certainly. Every Nigerian, one way or the other, is apprehensive because the news of oil price, global oil prices going down is in the air. Everyone's talking about it. And even those who don't understand the economics of it and who don't understand the technical complications feel things are not going to be okay with the prices being at that level. From your overview of the analysis, what is really going on? And the prices keep going down and keeps going down.
Yeah, first of all, serious panic has been created in the system, especially the Nigerian system. And because of the panic, even experts that we are not expecting to join the train of those panicking are panicking. And their own panicking is technically trying to create uncertainty.
Okay.
And uncertainty is dangerous. But to be fair to Nigerians too, there is crisis across the world. As far as the oil and gas industry is concerned, there is price instability. A lot of economies are shaking now. We are likely to see budgets being reviewed. We are likely to see benchmarks being adjusted. And it is likely to hit hard on exporting countries, not likely consuming countries. But in the end, even consuming countries will suffer. And the reason is simple. For exporting countries, it is a major revenue earner. And as a major revenue earner, it is also a function of the relationship between what it earns for that country and the GDP of that country. Because when you talk about GDP, you're talking about gross domestic product, what you can produce in your own country in terms of goods and services. So this is not the differentiation. We can both be exporting countries. We can both rely on the crude oil or the dollar earnings, to get so much. But there is every possibility that probably between myself and you, one of us is not internally producing goods and services. The other person is probably just relying and importing, finished goods, clothes, food, and the rest. So we can be on the same pedestal as both exporting countries, but if I am producing goods and services, I am not likely to feel the heat compared to somebody like you who will probably be an import-dependent country. So if you cascade that down, you can see why Nigeria is probably likely to be in a tight position. Apart from being a mono-product economy in terms of our export, we are also an import-dependent country. And that is the reason why one will understand the panic in Nigeria. But honestly, we don't really need to panic. Because what actually happened was a case more of planlessness that has now created an economic emergency for us. And in the course of this discussion, we will explain how that planlessness has created an economic emergency.
Okay, let's hinge on the budget now, because that's one platform that is going to determine a lot as we get along, especially from the economic and financial perspective.
Correct.
Now, the projections were that the prices were still going to fall further, as from the reports and statistics we got.
Yes.
So why did the government pitch the budget benchmark at 38 when, as at the time of passing that, the price of oil was even below $38.
Well, as I remember, when you talk about a budget simply means a future plan in monetary terms, right? Then when you have a future plan in monetary terms, or if you monetize a future plan, you predicate it on something. Medium-term expenditure framework and strategy paper, right? And once you come up with that, then there are certain things you look at. For Nigeria, there is a need to differentiate between a budget and a budget proposal. What the executive sent to the National Assembly was a budget proposal, not a budget. And there are two different things. You know, a proposal is just an intention. I intend to do X, Y, Z. In the course of the discussion, the approval will actually be carried out by the National Assembly after a thorough analysis and anatomy of what you presented as a proposal. And that simply means before it is approved, the National Assembly is likely to say, no, Mr. Executive, we want you to work with a benchmark of $20 per barrel. We want you to work with a benchmark of $25 per barrel. At that point, what you are looking at is congruency. So we need to clear that area. What was presented was a budget proposal. But also, we will expect that in tune with the dynamics of events, right, the National Assembly will rely on its technocrats within and outside, maybe consultant, to really come up with a likely projection and make sure whatever benchmark we are going to come up with is going to be within the bracket that will make everybody comfortable.
All right, let's take it beyond Nigeria now to the level of OPEC, where there seem to be is the source of all of this thing because it's a global thing. Now, what should OPEC do in this kind of circumstance where there's oversupply far above demand?
Fine. You see, in this case, you're not talking about OPEC alone. You know, you're looking across the strata of the entire world. You're looking about the energy world. Volatility or price volatility is one of the features of the crude oil market. You know, lows, highs, and troughs are a feature of the crude oil market. Commodity war is a feature of international commodity business and market. The crude oil is an international commodity just like gold, just like coffee and others, right? And that simply means the price cannot be determined by an individual country or even a cartel. The only thing about a cartel is a group of individuals or a group of producers, you know, that can muzzle so much influence, swing, or have an effect in how a product or the production of that product or the price of that product will swing. But in the case of the crude oil, right, you have so many non-OPEC members with different interests. Some are having political interests. Some are having energy interests. Some are trying to wield regional interests. And I'm telling you, probably I should have answered the reason why are we having even general prices of crude oil falling, right? We started with knowing that a country like the US decided to invest, you know, to make sure its crude oil is suitable for its refinery as a feed, right? We have discoveries across the world. Remember how we had the Arab Springs? When we had the Arab Spring, places like Egypt, Tunisia, you know, Libya, and the rest couldn't contribute the aggregate they are supposed to contribute to the world reserve. Today, there is relative stability. and they are contributing their own quota. Remember, a country like Iran was undergoing sanctions. Iran is out, right, and is now contributing. Remember also, there have been discoveries, pockets of discoveries across the world, and all those are aggregating or contributing to the aggregate world reserve. Remember also that we have cases where some countries are moving towards cleaner fossil fuel. Some are trying to explore more of gas. There are vehicles that are now running on something different from the conventional PMS and diesel, yourself and myself know. All these contributed in the total glut. Before Iran came out of sanction, which was just like about a week or two, the world supply was high by probably more than 1 million barrels per day. You know, all these have contributed. Then there is a regional and political commodity war. We don't need to mention names. And some people, some countries or nations are trying to politically look at the way they will strangle others. But the most important one is that some countries are truly looking inwards. They want to see how they can conserve their energy, conserve their money, and generate so much within their respective countries. And in cases like that, you don't need to blame the US. You don't need to blame other countries that have crude oil whose properties make them difficult for them to explore them then and refine. But they've taken their time, you know, to invest in research and development. And today their refineries can accept those crude, you know, with even the difficult material properties of the crude, and can refine them into what? Finished products. And when you have finished product and you can process it internally, that simply means you conserve funds. If you conserve funds, that means you're building internal sufficiency. I think that is the overview. That on its own has created what we call a cyclical shock. But the shock is having more impact on exporting countries who are not probably producing in terms of goods and services. Because if you're producing in terms of goods and services, you will still be enjoying that internal self-sufficiency. The only thing that will happen is that stream of revenue that you enjoy from the crude oil, that stream is just what you are likely to lose.